So friends, just as Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Canon was meandering through some litigation in Donald Trump's federal case down in Florida, we learned that two of her fellow federal judges in Florida had advised Judge Canon not to preside over Donald Trump's case. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, on Friday, Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Canon held an all-day hearing in Donald Trump's federal case down in Florida, specifically a hearing on his request that she just toss his prosecution out altogether. And at the end of the hearing, Judge Canon promptly denied Donald Trump's motion to dismiss, and she set a trial date. No, of course she didn't. She did no such thing. What did she do? She ordered more briefing, supplemental briefs on the motion that she just burned a whole day hearing arguments on. Then she turned her attention to sort of preparing for next week's round of frivolous Trump motions, multiple motions, and she'll be conducting equally pointless hearings next week, with no end in sight, with no imminent rulings on any of these motions, and with absolutely no trial date on the horizon because she has refused to set a trial date. You know, friends, it's becoming painfully clear that the outcome of the motions doesn't really matter. The delay is the point. Here's the new reporting about Friday's motion from NBC News. Judge in Trump classified documents case hears challenge to special counsel's appointment. And as we just discussed, Judge Canon then promptly ordered more briefs to be filed on the issue that they just spent all day arguing about. But let's turn our attention to the far more consequential development that we learned about on the eve of Friday's all-day hearing in Donald Trump's case. This from the New York Times. Headline, Judge in Trump documents case rejected suggestions to step aside. And that article begins, two federal judges in South Florida privately urged Aileen Canon to decline the case, Trump's case, when it was assigned to her last year, according to two people briefed on the matter. She chose to keep it. Shortly after Judge Aileen Canon drew the assignment in June 2023 to oversee former President Donald Trump's classified documents case, two more experienced colleagues on the federal bench in Florida urged her to pass it up and hand it off to another jurist, according to two people briefed on the conversations. The judges who approached Judge Canon, including the chief judge in the Southern District of Florida, Cecilia Altanaga, each asked her to consider whether it would be better if she were to decline the high-profile case, allowing it to go to another judge, the two people said. But Judge Canon, who was appointed by Mr. Trump, that's right, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant in the case, gave Judge Canon her lifetime appointment to the federal bench. This defendant gave the judge who's presiding in his case her job. My editorial edition. Judge Canon, who was appointed by Mr. Trump, wanted to keep the case and refused the judge's entreaties. Her assignment drew attention because she has scant trial experience and had previously shown unusual favor to Mr. Trump by intervening in a way that helped him in the criminal investigation that led to his indictment, only to be reversed in a sharply critical rebuke by a conservative appeals court panel. The extraordinary and previously undisclosed effort by Judge Canon's colleagues to persuade her to step aside adds another dimension to the increasing criticism of how she has gone on to handle the case. And as a follow-up on that blockbuster New York Times revelation, here's what Salon had to say. Headline, extremely rare. Experts say report reveals colleagues' embarrassment about Judge Canon's bias. The story, in a way, is that there is any story at all. On Thursday, two sources told the New York Times, in effect, that every liberal critic of Judge Aileen Canon, every legal analyst who says she has mishandled Donald Trump's classified documents case, displaying incompetence and prejudice, everyone is absolutely right. Because we've been proven to be right by two federal judges in Florida who advised Judge Canon not to preside over Donald Trump's federal prosecution. Oh, and one of those two judges, Chief Judge Altanaga, she was appointed to the federal bench by President George W. Bush. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Chief Judge Altanaga, probably not an angry Democrat, as Donald Trump loves to brand people. So next week, we'll be back in that Florida courtroom, figuratively speaking, keeping an eye on the litigation of other frivolous Donald Trump motions. They'll be litigated, but who knows when any of them will be decided by Judge Canon, and who knows whether Judge Canon will ever deign to set a trial date. You know, friends, I know I've mentioned this before, but when Judge Canon a few months back asked the parties, the prosecution, the defense, to propose trial dates, Jack Smith said July 8th. Donald Trump's lawyers proposed August 12th. And Judge Canon said, I'm not setting any trial date. You know, usually it is the defense clamoring for a trial date further down the road, and judges every single time will say, no, we need to set a timely trial date, because it is only once we have a trial date locked in that we can set a bunch of intermediate dates by which motions have to be filed, litigated, and resolved, so we can get to a timely trial. Not Judge Canon. Even when the defense, Donald Trump's attorneys, said August 12th, she said, nope, no trial date. That, as I've mentioned before, is practicing law in the upside down. And at some point, it's got to end. And the only way to bring it to an end is for Jack Smith to file and fully litigate a motion to recuse, a motion to remove Judge Canon because her impartiality might reasonably be questioned, that being the federal standard that requires a judge to be disqualified from a case. That's what needs to happen if there's any hope of this trial moving forward, and if there's any hope of the American people having faith and confidence in the outcome of the trial. That's what has to be done. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.